Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to WHU TV live on Periscope and YouTube. As you can see, I'm joined by Hammerschat host Gio. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very good. Yourself?
Glad it's the Monday's over, but I haven't been working today. I've just been chilling out, but it's been good. Other than that, I'm good, mate. As always, guys. There's a link in the description below for you guys to have a look at the channel sponsor 3retro.com, which we're actually going to talk about in a little while anyway. But first and foremost, Joe, as we were talking just beforehand, it's been a couple of months since I've seen you, and it's been 11 months since you came on last time round. How's things with you up in Scotland, mate?
I can't complain. Just cracking on as normal, to be honest with you. Nothing's really changed for me, to be honest. I'm still at work. The only thing different is not getting to London, but apart from that, it's as you were, really.
I thought you might get a Liam reference in there pretty much quite quickly, but I wasn't expecting it to be that quick.
Yeah, you set me up for that one. That was a tap in. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, there's been changes to government briefings, both at your end as well as ours, for that matter. What were the changes for Scotland? Because I think it was relatively similar to what we had the other day.
No, it's nothing. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is you can exercise a little bit more, and that's it. The rest is just still stay at home up here. We're a bit not behind. They believe our infection rate's higher than England, so their stay at home message very much is still applicable. This side of Hadrian's Wall, so it's you lot that are doing it differently compared to the rest of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, the message that was given out yesterday was kind of the same sort of thing. So as of Wednesday, even though some of it's been pushed back to today, that we were still going to be able to go out and get a bit more exercise, and we're just going to keep an eye on things and how everything's really been going. But it was interesting finding out the details about the document that was released earlier today, well, 3 o'clock to example. I mean, that the government, when this all first happened, Number 10 were first originally saying that you can't, there's no point having any face masks because it doesn't really do that much of a difference. It will stop it passing it on to somebody else rather than you getting it. Even though they are still saying roughly the same sort of thing, that they have actually backtracked a little bit and saying, well, if you're going to be using public transport, everyone's going to have to try and use them now. So, I mean, for me personally, as an asthmatic, it's not going to be good. I mean, the only public transport I'm taking at the moment is going down to the supermarket because I can't get into work until we can get back on the tubes. So nothing's really going to change from that point of view. But there was other stuff that came out saying if the more exercise that people are doing, then there isn't any spiking over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Then obviously, Jerry, as you probably saw next month is going to be permitting cultural and sporting events to take place behind closed doors for broadcast while avoiding the risk of large-scale social contact, aka football behind closed doors, possibly. Do you still think this is a good idea? It's a lesser of three evils, really, but.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to get back to normal. We'll never get back to normal. We've got to get back as close to as normal as possible. And that is football. It's still a place of work. And, you know, if a builder's been told to get back onto a construction site, then I don't see why a footballer isn't being told to get back to training for now anyway. And certainly in line with the government's new regulations, they can go back to training as of today, as long as they adhere to that 2 meters apart whilst on the training ground. We've always complained, Joe Public, the average football fans always complained that footballers are want to be treated differently. Now here we are sort of justifying them being treated differently to average man on the street. I don't think they should be. And to be fair, I don't think all the footballers want to be. Of course, some footballers won't want to go back naturally, just like some people won't want to go back on a construction site. There will also be some footballers that are okay to go back. They are ready, if you like. It's a very difficult thing to balance, a very difficult thing to judge, but it's a bit like what I took from Boris yesterday was use your common sense, and I think that is what's going to apply to everything from now on, and that is including football. Just use your common sense as to what you think is right.
I mean, that's been the message right from day one. 8 weeks ago, they were basically saying, just think about what you're doing, make sure that you're staying at home as much as possible, only go out unless it's absolutely necessary. I mean, the rules were originally that we can only have an hour worth of exercise, or was it 4 miles if you're going to run, or stuff to that effect anyway. So from one point of view, I can understand why people are getting a little bit confused with the message yesterday, because some of it was contradictory, but at the same point, like you're saying, it's just use your common sense. Just if you have to go out, then go to work. Try and avoid public transport. I mean, asking somebody to cycle to work or even walk to work, most people can't. I mean, obviously there are going to be people that work very, very local to themselves. But as I say, for me, I've got a 12-mile walk to do. If that's the case,
then don't go. Don't go. That's the message. Don't go to work if you can't, kind of thing. I thought it's not clear. It's not black and white. There was a lot of grey, but there was always going to be grey. A lot of people banging the table, wanting a plan. We got a plan. There was a lot of people banging the table because they don't understand the plan. Well, this is why you weren't given the plan in the first place, because you wouldn't understand it. It's not a straightforward process. It changes every day when they see the latest figures and stuff. People don't know what they're dealing with. This is a new thing for everybody, including the people in charge. And I just think there's a lot of people a bit surprised that Boris Johnson and his cabinet don't have a magic wand to know how to deal with something that's invisible. I don't know. I just think it's too. I'm a very laid back person in life, and I'm aware this is a deadly disease, and it's affected a couple of people that I know personally. But even with this, I'm still reasonably laid back in the sense of people just got to do their best, and as long as everyone does their best, c'est la vie.
But at the same point, this has been their plan right from day one, because if you remember when they were the first talk about where the Chancellor was saying that we're going to have the furlough scheme, it was going to be that for the first tax quarter, it was all going to be suspended, because basically when everybody clocks their taxes in July, that's going to be the tax that's going to pay for the furlough scheme, and which is exactly still the same thing, because they're now talking about like, for example, if there's going to be certain shops opening next month, if everything goes to plan, and then in July, certain pubs and restaurants, if that all goes down, is going to open as well, for that matter. But I know that the government haven't said yet that it's going to be certain pubs and restaurants, but it's blatantly going to be, because for example, it's not going to be widespread. I reckon there's only one type of pub that's going to be able to open, and that's ones with decent enough size beer gardens, because you're not going to be able to do the social distancing 2 meters inside a pub. Otherwise, it's too much of a high risk. It's very, very enclosed space. I mean, Gia, what do you think about the timescale we've got between now and possibly July?
I think it's. I don't like the idea of having a timescale open to the public, because it changes, and you're giving people a date now, and people are gonna, when it gets to that date, people are gonna say, right, open all the pubs now, and that's not what they've said, but that's what now people are going to be looking towards. And also, I think it's going to be regional, and I think it should be regional. London's figures are going to be a hell of a lot different to the Highlands up here, for example, to give a complete contrast. And it'll be in England, the more countryside rural pubs will be a lot safer than central London. So I think giving a date's wrong, but this is what people have been demanding. Unfortunately, in my opinion, I don't think we should have been given such a detailed breakdown, but I understand the need for a little bit of positivity, a little bit of something to look forward to. But I think, unfortunately, in this day and age, and I include myself in this at times, that when you give people a date, if you take that date away, it's then a bigger negative than it would have been to have nothing positive in the first place.
Yeah, but at the same point, as Johnson repeated quite a few times yesterday, and I rewatched it this morning, it's a conditional timescale. So he's basically covering both bases in that point, because it's if everything goes to plan, this is what we're doing next month, and if anything goes to plan, this is what we hope to do for July and onwards. But you're absolutely right. Local village pubs, for example, and restaurants can do it. I mean, I think, to be honest with you, I reckon restaurants are probably open before pubs do, because with restaurants they can control the amount of people that come in, they can control the spacing, they can separate the tables and the chairs out a lot better than a pub can. But either way, it's nice to have some a little bit more light at the end of the tunnel from
Well,
one point.
people can make their own decision if they go. You don't have to go to the pub. You don't have to go to the restaurant. If you go, you know what risks you're taking when you go. It's not like going to the shop or even going on the tube to work. You're being forced back. You've sort of got to do those things. Whereas a pub and a restaurant, you really don't have to go. So if you go there, you full well know what the risks are, and it's again a bit of common sense, but also just decide what's best for you personally, and then make sure that what you do thereafter doesn't impact anyone else potentially. So you wouldn't want to go to the pub for the very first time and then go see your 90-year-old grandmother, would you? Immediately afterwards. I mean, that's what we just now need a little bit of use your think box. It's there for a reason. Use it and you'll be all right.
Exactly. Yeah. And hopefully that kind of brings us round to the main subject, because obviously there was a discussion with the Premier League earlier today. Now you and Gonzo talked about this last night about West Ham voting to null and void the season. Do you which we could see coming for weeks? Everybody was saying it. You know, Brady was banging the drum for a good few weeks about it. Players were coming out. Lanzini, for example, Creswell as well, for that matter. Mike, and again because of the government's broadcast wasn't really specifically saying things properly. Do you still think that? I mean, obviously the club's still going to do it, but do you reckon it's still going to be those 6-7 clubs that are going to? Because the way that from what I understand of it, the way that the Premier League democracy system works is that if there's more than 5 or 6 clubs make all vote one way, then they have to rejig an order. So because obviously they're putting things in place to come to a decision, which probably not going to be till next week from what I'm reading. But what do you reckon the outcome's going to be? Do you reckon any clubs are going to be nobbled within the next week?
Yeah, I mean, they need 14 clubs to vote aye for something to pass. And I think today, but going by the lack of what we've been told some stuff today, which is perhaps not surprising, but it's a bit more, it's in a process of elimination now, I think, John. I think what we've done now is we're being told today that they've been very much told that you're not going to void the season and you're not going to take relegation off the table. So go away and have a think about what you want. And they've also said, can we go back to the government and ask to remove the neutral venue thing? And I think that's a happy medium. I think playing the home and away fixtures, home and away, but finishing the season, I think with relegation as a live competition, I think is where we're going to meet in the middle. And I can see that happening next Monday. Because the reason a lot of clubs like Brighton, West Ham and Watford were given voting no to it was because of the neutral venues. Yeah. So if you take that out, I don't really think they've got, I know they'll say health and safety, but no one's suggesting that they have to play in an unsafe environment. And quite the opposite, actually. They're suggesting that you play in a safe environment as possible. Yeah. So if you take away the neutral venue thing, you don't really have much to argue with. But I do think they're right to refuse to play at neutral venues. But I don't agree with voiding the season, truth be told, John. I don't agree with that. I think the season should be played to finish however long it takes. And I think relegation should occur, even if it means West Ham getting relegated, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And Noble came out with something very, very similar. As late last night or this morning, I was reading it, where he said that he wants the Premier League to be played out, and he doesn't care if it's going to take him till October to do so, which is the right thing because I mean, personally, I've always said that we should. We've had 3 quarters of the season, so we should take it as it is now, as the table. Relegate those that are relegated. Liverpool win the title. Promote West Brom. Promote Leeds. I was also thinking about this earlier today as well before we came on, thinking about the playoff teams as well. I personally, I was kind of thinking, well, which out of the playoff teams in the Championships and League One, for example, because obviously whatever happens in the Premier League has a knock-on effect down the rest of the leagues. Whoever personally, I was kind of thinking, well, whoever's got the highest amount of points in the playoff positions in respective leagues, they get promoted as well. I mean, how would you feel about something like that if that was one of the things on the table?
It's very difficult. I think it's harder when you don't support one of the teams, so you don't have an initial gut feeling. When anything gets talked about with the Premier League, because you support West Ham, you have a gut feeling immediately, which drives you a little bit. But I don't like the idea of promoting teams without finishing the season, to be honest with you. The season in Championships is 46 games long, not 30, whatever they've played down there. And also what we're saying now is if someone, let's just say Fulham, who are third at the minute, let's just say it's all right to, well, actually, West Brom are 6 points ahead of Fulham, who are in third. So if it's okay to promote West Brom but not Fulham, Norwich are 6 points behind. Safety. So does that mean we're relegating Norwich? Because we're deciding 6 points is enough to stop Fulham coming up. Is 6 points not enough to then say, sorry, Norwich, you're relegated. No matter what happens, you're going down. No, it's not. So why? I just think it's a dangerous game we're playing when we start promoting some, and we're almost just deciding things without the competition being played to finish. But something's got to happen, because I think that I wouldn't be surprised the Championship's played to finish to some extent. I don't think all the fixtures will go ahead. I think they might promote Leeds and West Brom and do a playoff 3 games. So third place 6 once, fourth place 5th once, and then there's a final once. So there's 3 games, and the winner then comes up. And I think League 1 and League 2, I think they're either going to finish the season as it is, or they're going to do points per game. I don't think they're going to be playing any more games in League 1 and 2, unfortunately for those clubs. But if there's relegation from the Premier League, there needs to be promotion from the Championship. Then there's an argument that, well, there needs to be relegation from the Championship now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there will be, but you can't punish someone like Coventry City, who have got such a big league, and then reward teams above them. In the league above, we've got a smaller lead, if that makes sense. There's no right or wrong, John, and this is a problem, really.
Yeah, no, I know exactly it. Whatever happens, it's going to annoy somebody, and there's going to be problems on it. But let's go back 24 hours, because or a bit more than that.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much, mate. Now, obviously, but the joking aside was the fact that obviously the 2 big anniversaries, the last game at the Bowling, and the FA Cup final. Now, 40 years on from that, just tracking back to that first. Do you honestly feel that from our point of view as West Ham supporters that we've kind of not kept up with how football's progressed over the last 40 years?
It was hard to say for me before the Premier League either. I did even at the start, even in the 90s, because I was a little boy. I didn't understand football, so it's hard to sort of say. But at the same time, we've had spells under Redknapp and that we were close to sort of closing the gap a little bit. And back then, there wasn't a Spurs, there wasn't a chat. Well, they were there, but Spurs and Chelsea weren't the force. It was like a top 2, top 3 back then, and they've turned it into a top 6 now. I honestly think most Premier League clubs are 2 seasons away from breaking into the top 6. You need a bit of luck. You need very clever recruitment. You need good investment. You're never that far away. We've shown that in the last season at Upton Park, that how Leicester as well, showing just how quickly people can change. This season, Leicester again, and Wolves, and even Sheffield United have shown just how you can break into that top echelon of the Premier League. So have we done enough? No. But can we do enough in 2 seasons' time? If we get everything right, we can. Will we? Not so sure.
Yeah, I know, but it's okay. Well, just taking it from over the last 20 years, for example, where, like you say, where more teams that have repeatedly won the FA Cup than we have over the last 40 years. The reason why I'm asking that is because I personally feel that we have done. I mean, the closest we came to having anything decent, with the exception of the last season at the Bowling, really, was pretty much when we've in the boys of 85, 86. That was the closest we've ever got. I mean, I know looking back through the data and stuff that what was it, 2002 we finished 7th, and we've finished 7th a few times, and like I say, on the Redknapp we got into and won the Intertoto and all that sort of stuff. But in general, looking at what's happened over the last 20-25 years, it kind of feels like we've not had that luck. We've not had that decent amount of recruitment done properly. We've not brought in the right players and stuff and whatnot. But it is difficult to try and figure out exactly what the root cause of it is. But at the same point, I mean, how do you feel that we're going to progress over the next couple of years? Do you still see we should be able to fight back to get into the top 10 or maybe the top 8?
No, I think Leicester and Wolves have turned the top 6 into top 8 this season. I think if Newcastle gets bought over, it's potentially a top 9. It's going to be hard for West Ham and other clubs like Southampton to get into the top 10 soon, just because we're getting priced out of it a little bit. And if you are going to get priced out, you need to be savvy. I don't think we are that, but at the same time, throughout my lifetime, your lifetime, we've generally seen the majority of our years played in the Premier League, and there's only 20 clubs that do that every season. There's 92 in the Football League and stuff. So we've always had it. If you go ask a Bolton fan, they'll tell you West Ham fans have had it easy. It's all subjective and it's all relative. I think the lack of success in the Cups especially is down to the managers. I do generally believe it's down. The Cups is 100% down to managers. I think the board is the squad in the league and stuff is primarily down to the board making the right decisions in terms of funding and that. But the Cups, we've seen clubs go all the way in the Cups that we didn't stand a chance of getting into the top 6 in the Premier League, but they've done it because of the manager, because they wanted it. Slav wanted it. Slav really wanted the Cup. Pellegrini Moyes discarded them, unfortunately. Big Sam discarded them. Avram Grant wanted the Cup. He was close. He was close to get us to the final. So I do generally believe that if you get a manager that wants a Cup, you've got a chance, but you've got a manager that doesn't care about it, then you might as well just not enter, to be honest.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I mean, you're right. Under Avram Grant, we got to the semi-final in the League Cup win that season. And yeah, it was painful being at both legs for that semi-final. But yeah, I mean, personally, I want us to try and get a bit more security in the background when it comes to West Ham before we start looking to try and secure ourselves any table position. Because I always say that when the season starts, top 15 and I'm happy. That's how bad it's been the last 20 years. But that's I've always been. But yeah, in like you're saying, make the comparisons between that and Bolton, and even like Sunderland fans. We've had it a lot easier than normal. But for somebody who knows international football a lot more than I do, there was a good article that Football London put out earlier today about players in the Bundesliga that they reckon we should keep an eye out for. So just as a recap, who are you backing for the Bundesliga if and when it does restart?
Schalke. That's my sort of adopted German team, if you like.
Excellent. Because one of for example, one of the players that comes up on this list is a player called Nico Elvedi, who plays for Borussia Mönchengladbach. I reckon that this person who was the bloke that wrote it. Where are we? Sam Inkersol. He basically said that that's a defender that we should be going after. Are you aware of this bloke at all?
I couldn't go into detail about many of the Bundesliga players, to be honest with you. I'd be pretending, but we might have a video coming up soon about Bundesliga players, so I don't want to give too much away. Okay,
but there is a
chest.
Second.
Cards close to chest and all that.
Okay, well there is a Schalke player in here, which is Amin Harit. Are you you said that you're backing Schalke? Is that one of the guys that you reckon we should be going for?
I've got one Schalke player, but I'm keeping that one, I'm afraid.
That's fine. I wasn't baiting you for that. It's not a problem.
He plays at centre mid. If that's a clue, that's a clue for you.
Okay. Right. So, because it was quite interesting reading earlier today that we were that David Moyes is taking training sessions at Rush Green, and which it was obviously the prep. We're trying to get as much prep work as possible. How'd you just speaking for yourself rather than the spokesperson for Hammerschat? How do you feel that Moyes has been getting on since he came in towards the end of last year?
Not great. And by the way, I don't speak for Hammerschat. I could never speak for Charlie. I could never do that. I only ever say my personal opinion.
Well, I mean, last time we were on, you were saying that I just wanted to get your personal opinions and
like my personal opinion with Moyes is I was happy with how we played in the last 3 games. We still lost 2 of them. But prior to that, I wanted him gone after Brighton. After the Brighton game, I wanted him sacked. I come out of that fuming, and I largely put the draw square at David Moyes' door. The players have got a big part to play and stuff, but what he'd done was unforgivable. We were 3-1 up in cruise, and he decided to change it up, and then we lost all shape, all composure, and conceded 2 goals. And he was to blame, in my opinion. He changed what was working. How would we come out of that? It's funny actually, because we'd come out of that with a 3-1 win. I would have been applauding David Moyes. I'd be thinking, fantastic, well done, Dave. But it could be a blessing in disguise, because that and another couple of results have forced him to switch to 4 at the back, which has seen us have big improvements at Anfield and Etihad, then beat Southampton whilst playing really good football, which is important. But when this football resumes again, I'm not confident we're going to stay up. I'm not confident we're going to go down either, John. I'm very 50-50 on it. And I might decide more as football gets a bit nearer. But I'm not convinced in the slightest that this guy is the right manager for West Ham long term. I just can't be. How can I be? I'm not. I hope he changes my mind. I genuinely do. But I'm not. I've enjoyed 3 games since he's come back, and like I said, we lost 2.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. So who would be your ideal replacement for Moyes?
Crikey. I don't know if you could get him, but Tag of Ajax, he would be my number 1 choice if you could get him. Could you get him out of Ajax? I think you could. I think now that Ziyech's going to Chelsea as well, he's losing even. He's already lost De Jong. He's already lost De Ligt, and he's now losing Ziyech. His project at Ajax is sort of falling apart a little bit. It's not falling apart. They're just moving them on and cashing in on their players. It's not a bad thing to do. You know, that's what West Ham have to do. We have to become the next Ajax, essentially, where you get players in through the academy, sell them for big money. But I do wonder if you could get him out of Ajax, chuck money at him. I think you would, and he would come play exciting football. The football Ajax played over the last few seasons is just mouth-watering stuff. And I would love to see that at West Ham. So that would be my number 1 choice.
It'd be nice to see some bit more free-flowing football. That's for sure. I mean, I don't know the guy that you're talking about, but Sofian has got a comment there saying when he comes up, I love your optimism.
Optimistic. But you've got to aim high. Do you know something I always think is it's my geothermal rule for when you recruit a manager. You've got to go for a manager that's overachieving. That's currently overachieving, because that means they're in form essentially. I hate how you always attribute form to players. We never attribute form to managers, which makes sense. But at the same time, I do think there is something there. I think managers have a short shelf life, and the world class, the elite managers are the ones that go against that normal grain, and they actually have a really good standing in football for 15, 20 years. They have a really good career as a football manager. But often you get managers come along for 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons, win a couple of things, then they disappear. Their season just declines. If the curve flattens, then goes down, and people get to come outside a bit more. Andre Villas-Boas is one of the best managers. He's sort of coming up again in France at the minute, but he was touted as the next best thing, got given his big job, and he fluffed it. So that's why Ancelotti, Mourinho, Alex Ferguson, Wenger, that's why these managers are the creme de la creme, because they've done it over such a long period. And I hate how, this is why I don't like going and getting Moyes. We went and got a manager that couldn't get a job in football. I mean, that's just, when you get a manager, go to Waitrose, don't go to the British Red Cross shop. Now, listen, British Red Cross shop is a fantastic cause, but it's not. I'm not going there to get clothes for a night out, am I?
It's a fair point. I mean, I want to get your thoughts on Nick's question here, mate. I know it's maybe a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but for Steven Gerrard for manager?
I don't think it is tongue-in-cheek. I think that's a very good suggestion. Not yet for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it's a little bit early to think about that, and likewise with Lampard as well, for that matter. But also coming to the same point, because what Big Slav's been doing with West Brom, do you reckon this is, in a way, it's kind of like a fingers up to the current board saying, look, this is what I've been capable of if I'm back properly?
No, I think it's just Slav doing what he wants to do. I don't think it's got anything to do with fingers up to the board. I think it was clear when he first come in that there's a manager there, wants to play attacking football, wants to play good football. And he got thrown under the bus at West Ham. I've said it for all along. I think he got chucked under the bus, and he was handcuffed. I think a manager should do or die on his own sword. I don't think Slav did. I think Slav died on David Sullivan's sword, and that doesn't sit right with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean you can technically interpret it as that, but bearing in mind, obviously, when we played him in the cup and we got beaten by him as well, for that matter. So, but yeah, a lot of people have said over the last year or so that we're all coming to the conclusion now that Slav wasn't back properly, because he's kind of proved to a degree. He's proven that with West Brom, and he's proven what he's done with how well he's got Grady Dean Garner to advance in his role as well. So for whenever next season comes back, because you and I have both said on numerous occasions we reckon we're going to see a lot younger squad next season. In order to that to happen, who are you hoping that are going to step up in the team for the next 9 games to try and cement themselves to stay in, for example, to say well, actually, how are you going, just to say, who do you want to basically see play better in the next 9 games than they currently have been this season?
Everyone.
But there's no one sort of because obviously that we've seen glimpses of cohesion in the squad this season. But for example, without going into too much detail, who would be the people that you would want to step up, and are there any ones that the people that you don't think are capable of stepping up and that need to be sold on for
Anderson? Anderson's my number one. I'd be saying I want to see him step up the most, because I think he's got so much talent, and if we saw a 10 out of 10 Anderson every week, we stay up. I'm convinced by that, because he's good enough. He's good enough to beat our, I guess, Jack Grealish, if you like. Villa have only got a chance of staying up because of Jack Grealish. Anderson would propel us there. Sebastian Haller as well. I think he's had a tough time from a lot of people, and I don't want him sold, but I think he needs to step up to the cause a bit. They're my main 2, to be honest with you. I think I'm relatively happy with the performance of the defenders this season. The keeper, the centre midfielders have done all right. It's now time for the attackers really to do their bit, but not sure we will, to be honest with you.
So who at the moment is going to be your Hammer of the Year?
Oh, but I don't think it can be anyone else. To be honest, I think anyone else is crazy. To be truth, I think he's the only one that's turned up every week, and you can count on one hand how many bad performances he's had this season. It's not been many. He's won man and match, if you like, numerous times. It's just his performances have been ridiculously good for us. You're Barna as well, aren't you?
Yeah, always.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be.
But okay, so who do you reckon is going to get the runner up? It's a bit more tougher question, I reckon. But who do you reckon the runner up's going to be?
Rice. I think if Fabianski hadn't got injured, it would have been between those two, but because Fabianski's had a spell out. But saying that, the last 9 games, anything can happen. If Ali bangs in 2 goals a game, he's going to probably win Hammer of the Year, to be honest with you. But it's still a core of the season. It's a big part of the season. But if anyone turns up and puts in big performances, then we might see something. But I'd be surprised, to be honest with you, JP.
Yeah, you never. I have the same sort of fears from one point of view as you do. That I'm always constantly worried that we're going to get relegated, especially whatever decisions made at the back room as well as as a collective of the league. Like for example, the video you did the other day about the alternative points per game calculations that have been floating about. That worries me a lot. I personally prefer the way that the calculations were done for how the French leagues have adopted it. But either way, it's worrying times for us, as it always is. Anyway, but okay. So going back to the last game 4 years ago. Now that we've had the 4 years, what's really sort of stood out for you over those 4 years in comparison to what we were promised to what we're currently seeing?
Nothing good. It's nothing what we thought we were going to get, to be honest with you, physically or progression. It's disappointing on all parts, but I've stopped. I don't like the ground, but I stopped disliking it, if that makes sense. I'm completely neutral to it now. It doesn't bother me either way. I don't dislike it. I don't like it. It's just a place I go to watch West Ham. Maybe over time I'll get to like it, because I used to hate it, then I disliked it. Now I'm neutral. I've just given up, to be honest with you. I think I just can't be bothered being emotionally detached from it, if that makes sense. On the pitch, not good enough, but I think it can be fixed, John. I think it can be fixed. A good transfer window this summer. Moyes keeps his 4-3-3 kind of formation he's been playing. We could have a good season next season. That's all it takes. I don't think there's that much wrong, to be honest with you, at West Ham. I think there's a good foundation there to start with. But I just don't see the appetite. I don't see the passion. I don't see the plan there in order for us to progress. And that's the more concerning thing for me. We've got incompetent people running the club. Instead of getting someone in that can do it for them, they've decided to drive the bus themselves. But the problem is they're driving it down the wrong side of the road. It's all right to sit in the second seat and get a really good driver in and actually have pride that you own the bus. Someone else is driving it for you, but it's going somewhere, it's going to a nice destination. Nothing wrong with that. They tried it a little bit with Usalos and it blew up in their face. I don't think he's going to be trying it again anytime soon.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, personally, sometimes I think the driver of the bus is hit and reverse too many times, and that's when we never get into that destination. Phil made a good comment on here saying, evening John, Gio, Premier League meeting today, a cancellation of the season was discussed for the first time, plus clubs now want a chance to show they can deliver at home and away matches safely. What are your thoughts? You take this one first, Gio.
That's the right thing to do, home and away. I don't understand. I've never understood the difference between home and away and neutral. All this stuff about fans will congregate. Oh, bollocks. If Liverpool win the title at the Emirates, Liverpool fans are going to congregate outside Anfield regardless, even more so now with the relaxation. And bear in mind, people's not coming back till mid-June.
Yeah.
So it's going to be even more relaxed by then if everything goes correct. I mean, it could go the complete opposite way and we're back into lockdown, but that happens. Football isn't going ahead, is it? The neutral venues, it's just complete bollocks as far as I'm concerned. I hated the idea of it, and I'm glad that us, Brighton, Watford, and apparently 9 other clubs have decided to stick it to the Premier League today and say, take your neutral venues and off you pop. Good. We need to retain as much integrity as possible. This season's already compromised massively. But we need to cling to as a normal Premier League scenario as you can possibly have. No rule changes, no neutral venues, none of that. Everything's got to stay the same, except the fact that there's no fans allowed in the ground. That's the only thing that I think is acceptable to change, in my opinion. Everything else has to remain as it is.
Yeah, I mean the police have been quite adamant to do that up for about last 3 or 4 weeks, because I know they said originally they were against it, but now they're saying that it makes them more sense, because like you're saying, common sense is coming in more and more. Let
the club police it as well. Say to, for example, West Ham, so West Ham fans, say to West Ham, right, you're playing at London Stadium, you've got to employ stewards that are on the perimeter of the stadium, so fans can't get there or whatever. You know, let the clubs almost police their own grounds a little bit. If you're going to trust these clubs, if you're going to trust the clubs, say we trust you to bring all your players back to training in a safe environment, if we trust you to come up with a plan to keep all these players safe from a deadly disease, then you've got to also trust the clubs to stop fans congregating outside their ground. Because if you don't trust them to do that, then why on earth are you trusting them with the lives of people? Doesn't make sense. You can't have one or the other. You've got to have both. In my opinion.
I agree with you on that one, mate, completely. I'm just going to check on the BBC now, because obviously Boris Johnson's been talking for a good few minutes, and hopefully he said something we can actually talk about. Where are we? Okay, so yeah, nothing's come up on the website as yet. So once something actually comes out, we'll do it. Good friend Becca is asking for a shout out from you, Gio.
No.
She's going to love you for that one. Leonard is also saying they are businesses, they only care about the bottom line, which is completely true.
I don't think it is. I don't think they only care about the bottom line. I think they're motivated by the bottom line, but I do think they care about the welfare of their staff.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we start seeing reports coming out in a few weeks' time that certain teams are being made to play and certain teams are allowing their players just to have a bit of a break on it. You know, because it is. I mean, I don't want it. Obviously, don't want to see that because it just shows how badly. So shows how badly some teams are being run. But you know, it's. I mean, it's you know, it was heartbreaking seeing that 50 players out of the Premier League don't want to be going through with Project Restart. So I guess from one point of view, the only way we would know if the games do come back up again, and certain players are not in the squad, then there could be an argument to say that those are the guys that say, no, I don't want to play this yet.
I think a lot of people will change their mind though. You're asking them to go into the unknown right now. If West Ham go back to training for 2 weeks and 5 players don't turn up because they don't want to, and obviously fine. But if after 2 weeks nothing's happened to the other 20 that are at training, those 5, even just one of them might think, I'm going to go to the week 3 actually, because they've shown that nothing's happened yet. Because they've got nothing. The players at the minute have got no evidence squad. The Bundesliga might change that a little bit. The Bundesliga might go ahead this weekend, and then our players in the Premier League now have something to look at and think, okay, right, they're doing it. I think once our clubs are back at training, those who don't want to come back will then have something to look at. And they, all right, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Or complete opposite, it goes all wrong, and they think, well, I'm bloody glad I didn't go back. But there's just no evidence yet. They've got nothing to go on. No one does.
Yeah.
I feel a lot more confident today going to work and coming home from work. But I'll tell you something, 4 or 5 weeks ago, however long, I don't even know how long it was, I was at home for 2 weeks. When Boris did Monday night, Boris said the lockdown, I was off for 2 weeks and I went back. In the first few days I went back, I was practically tiptoeing to work. I had to go get something for my lunch at the shop on the way to work. And I was in and out in a flash. I didn't want to be in there. Week 2, I moved a little bit faster. Today, I just walk about as if nothing's happening actually, because I'm comfortable now. I've seen it. I've been there. I've done that. And I think a lot of people do that. Once they've changed their familiarity, they'll be all right. They'll be all right.
I mean, because if I remember right, I'm sure you said when you were talking about it the other day that are you seeing the same people every time on the journey?
Or is it a lot of the time? Yeah. But I'm seeing politer people as well. That's changed.
That's good. But so yeah, it's like you're saying, once you get into the routine and everything, and you know the people that you're passing by, everyone's going to get back to normal. Now, because obviously we've got this sort of like a DEFCON level of alert system now, because Boris Johnson was saying that we're currently on level 4 out of the 5, and we're slowly progressing down to the 3, which is really good news. Which is kind of, me and Marshy were talking about it before he actually said, Boris Johnson actually said anything about it. I literally said to him, it's going to be like a DEFCON sort of way of looking at it. And I personally, I kind of think that's what he was going on about when he's saying about staying alert with everything. I mean, you know, from the same point of view that it's kind of like, again, use your common sense. Just make sure you know who's around you and what's going on, and you know, just to have things that are just not stupid, shall we say? Let's not have a stupid attitude towards things, and just keep your mind where it should be. And talking of that, did you see that Carl Walker's come out with a retraction of his and an apology now about breaking the lockdown rules?
No, I've not seen anything current. The last one I seen was the one he done on Wednesday or whatever, about breaking it.
Yeah, he did post on his Twitter account yesterday. He said that, you know, that he apologizes for breaking the lockdown. The only reason why he's come out with that is because the bloody clubs told him to. Apparently City had a lot of complaints from fans and that, saying about, you know, well, he's being a hypocrite and all that sort of stuff. Because at the end of the day, he shouldn't have done what he did, and he shouldn't have.
I'm a bit more lenient on him, John. This is when he went to see his sister and his mum. To be clear, not the sex party thing. While I applaud his desires, I think it was a stupid thing to do. Now that I cannot defend. I cannot defend him. I can defend him having a threesome, just not at that time. But the second one, which was when he went to see his sister and then went to visit his parents. I ain't going to lay into this guy. He's putting it down to mental health. Man City are not punishing him, which would insinuate that Man City are aware that Kyle is struggling mentally. And everyone reacts and acts differently with mental health. And if he's got to the point that he feels he has to go visit his sister just for the sake of his head or something. I'll tell you something. There's a hell of a lot more people in this country doing a hell of a lot more worse than that over this time, including Kyle Walker himself, actually. Had he not done the first thing, I don't think the reaction would have been so bad because he only visited his sister. But he made a calculated risk. If he didn't risk anyone. He went to see his sister, got in a car, seen his mum and dad, got in the car and went home. He didn't put anyone at risk there. He didn't do. Again, I keep using the Tesco thing, but it's true. You would be more at risk to go to Tesco than Kyle Walker was going to visit his family. And if he's got to the point that he's at breaking point, and that's what's stopped him, tipping him over the edge or something, I just find it completely fucking shit, John, that I see it on social media, all these celebrities pounding him for it. But 2 or 3 months ago, they were all waving a flag for Caroline Flack for committing suicide. But here I am. I'm witnessing what I would call digital bullying again of a celebrity.
Yeah,
it doesn't make what Kyle Walker done is right. That's not what I'm not saying what he's done is right. I tell you something. I don't think hounding him like I saw a plea when I read the first one. I saw a plea from help from Kyle Walker, which is saying like I'm being pushed to the edge here. I've got no way out, kind of thing. And this is what other people have felt, and they've gone and taken their own lives and stuff. And then say we need to do more for this, more for that, and stuff. Well, next time you go to spout shite about someone, how about you zip it, have a look in the mirror, and then think about the consequences.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree, though. I mean, you make a very good point there. I mean, he drove on his own to see his family, so he wasn't putting anyone at risk.
If he's been in lockdown and his sister's been in lockdown, then what's the issue? They're both okay. They're both clear, aren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah. Last week that was unacceptable, but now we're getting told today that actually you can go visit people one at a time or whatever like that. So what difference does 5 days make? Now it's not up to Kyle Walker to change the law and amend it for himself. But my point is, I don't think it was the biggest crime in the world. He took a calculated risk. Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, there is a lot of people out there that are suffering with mental health over this. I mean, I certainly am. I have been for weeks. The fact that we're stuck in this house for 7 days straight. The only outlet I get is going to the supermarket, But at the same point, it might be a bit of a coincidence. I spoke to my mum for the first time in 11 years. Yesterday she phoned me up for my birthday. And it was that was nice, and we had a nice catch up over things, and we talked about everything bar what's going on at the minute, and so it settled me down a little bit. I was talking to my sister quite a fair bit as well, messaging people that are very close to me to make sure that everyone I know that it's okay. And if my sister was within the same sort of distance that Kyle Walker was, then I would take the same option to go and see the family. But at the same point, that it's more down to the fact that what he did originally is what everyone was really getting on his back for. And like you say, you can't. It's not two wrongs don't make a right in this, unfortunately. But at the same point, if it had stayed at home and then it came out that he was saying that he went to see his family, I don't think there would be this much of a backlash on him. It's just the fact that he's broken quarantine rules again, and which is, I think, what's got everybody's back up. But like you say, things have changed now, and therefore the attitude towards it is completely different. So, guys, we've got just over 12 minutes left. So get your questions in for both me and Gio. I know there's been a few questions floating around. Rebecca asked quite a funny, talking about the scale. So, do you notice how the scale looks like the Nando Spice scale? Is it red down to the green?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Well, that was pretty good. So I don't know, Gio, do you want to just double check this question here? Is this from a troll, or is this actually somebody that is?
No, it'll be one of the boys. I'm sure. I was trying to see. I think it's Ryan's. I think his profile picture is Ryan.
What's Gio's favourite cake?
Okay, I've got a curveball answer for this. Do you know the dessert, Eve's pudding?
Yep.
Is that a cake?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Because it's effectively an apple sponge, right?
Yeah.
So what's a cake? If it's got sponge, is a cake? Because if so, I'm going with Eve's pudding.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the debate that's been going on for a long, long time about Jaffa cakes as well, for that matter, isn't it?
Well, let's not start that. I'm talking about Eve's pudding. I'm sticking to my apple sponge here. Eve's pudding is my favourite cake. Not
Okay,
carrot cake though. That's my least favorite. That's bollocks. Veg in a cake. It should not be happening. Thank you.
Beck says that's a cake, so she'll allow it. Yeah. So yeah, the question we were going to look at
Yeah,
is
that's Ryan's profile picture. That's when the boys trying to wind you up, wind Ryan up, and wind me up. They're going for a triple kill here.
Karen like was a nice lady. I met her a few times though for work, and it was an absolute tragedy, and it was absolutely awful what happened to her. And back again. Do you still have the blue Calvin box?
I'm wearing them. My favourites.
I'll take your word for it, mate. I'm not going to ask you to stand up. Andy's asked a very, very good question. White or black pudding?
It depends on the meat. You can't have like, I wouldn't have, I don't think I'd have black pudding with like chicken, but I don't know if I'd have, it 100% depends on the meat. So with chicken, I would go for white. With like a red meat, I'd probably, I don't know, but with breakfast, I wouldn't have white, I'd have black pudding and stuff. So it very much depends on what the main meal is, the meat.
Yeah, I when me and my sister were kids, Dad used to give us white and black pudding for breakfast as part of the fry up. But yeah, I mean I prefer both anyway. But you're absolutely right. It all depends on what you're having. And Jay's, hope nobody loves a Tottenham cake.
What's a Tottenham cake?
As in a cake with Tottenham on the front.
I thought it was like an actual cake.
I think what was the other one? Actually, that's a good question. I can't remember the name of it. What's that cake you get where you've got the little some of it's pink and some of it's just sponge coloured? Was it Bannock? No, it's not Bannockburn cake. Is it? Battenberg, that's it. Yeah. Love this. 8 a.m. club with the boys or Liam Gallagher at a gay bar.
It depends. If young Tom's there, we're probably gonna have to go to the gay bar so young Tom can try to get some action. But apart from that, we're going to let him.
Okay, cool. So we've got a few minutes left. Gio, have you thought of the song for me to sing today?
No. What's my options?
Well, this is the thing, mate. It's what I was thinking is if we get the guys in the chat to give what songs that they suggest me to sing, and then you give your which one out of the lot you reckon is the best one to do.
I like that. Yeah, we'll go with that. I'll go with the live chats nominations.
Because Tom missed it last time, so I'm sure he's going to ask for the same song again.
I reckon I know what young Tom. Tom Bull. I know what Tom Bull put up. I think he might put up Half the World Away.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be something like that.
I think he might put that up. Lucky Man's a good shout. Can you do the Verve?
Yes, mate. I should do it for. I used to sing it for in the band I was in.
Yeah, I think Lucky Man's my favourite one so far.
Okay.
I don't want Wonderwall. Sorry, Full Cheesy. I don't want Wonderwall.
Okay, so there you go. So yeah, Tom said Cotton Eye Joe, which is just not going to happen. You can't do that on the cue stick. If I had a banjo, maybe, but I'm not. You can't do it on the cue stick, unfortunately. So yeah, some good one. Nick, show a bit more imagination, please, mate. Come on. I mean, but yeah, I've sang it before, and I'm happy to sing it again. But all right, so yeah, so we're pretty much 5 minutes to go. So just over 5 minutes. So all right. So what do you want, Joe? Do you want I'm not doing boom boom boom, mate. Sorry, that's not going to happen.
The Lucky Man, the Verve. I like that one by Mark. I like that one.
Okay, right. Let's just sort something out.
My own personal choice would be Barbie Girl. If you can do that.
I don't know that.
Can you not get up on your screen? Can you not just karaoke it?
No. I said I'll play the guitar and I'll play the guitar. So there we go. So yeah, let's get this back a little bit. So give me a bit more space. Happiness, more or less, it's just a change into something in my liberty. Oh, in my mind. Happiness coming and going. I watch my fever growing. I know just who I am. How many corners do I have to turn? How many times do I have to learn? All the love I have is in my mind. Well, I'm a lucky man with fire in my head. Ah. Happiness, more or less, it's just a change into something in my liberty. Oh, in my mind. Happiness coming and going. I'm looking, watching and watch my fever growing, and I know just who I am. But how many corners do I have to turn? How many times do I have to learn? All the love I have is in my mind. I hope you understand. I hope you understand. You put me off, you bastard. But yeah,
That was pretty good, John. Well done, well done. On behalf of the chat.
well, guys, we're pretty much going to wrap this one up. So yeah, what's the? I'm not. Do you know? I'm not even going to ask some of that questions that are going on there at the minute. Mark says,
I don't mind.
"Where is it now? Where is it? Just where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Because I saw. Yeah, that's what I was looking at earlier. So that's what cracking up. Dear hold your vibrator in the air.
I did it. I improvised.
But yeah, no, guys, thanks very much for your time, everybody, and Jay. More importantly, mate, it's been great to talk to you again.
No, pleasure as always. Thank you, John.
Thank you, mate. So yeah, guys, as always, if you're new around here, welcome. And if you like the video, give us the thumbs up. It'd be nice to get some spreading the channel around as well. And also, by all means, share the content with anybody that you feel may want to watch it as well. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night. So thanks very much for everybody for tuning in.
Bye.